And now let's move on. The Dodgers are struggling a little bit this year. They're not off to the greatest start, especially in the division. Kind of the driving question today is this what the Dodgers are going to look like in this season? So far, it's kind of been a tale of two teams. They're 7 wins, 6 losses, so they're 7-6 currently right now. In their 7 wins, they're averaging 8.5 runs a game and giving up only 2.4 runs per game. And then in their losses, they're averaging 3 runs a game and giving up 6 1/3 runs per game. So offense overall hasn't really been the problem. They're second in runs scored. They're hitting well for the most part. The guys who maybe you expected to have a slower start, Miguel Rojas, wasn't brought in for his offense. Chris Taylor, we've seen him struggle before, and David Peralta are struggling. But everyone else who regularly gets at bats is hitting above a 110 WRC plus. And it's kind of led by the familiar faces of Mookie, Freddie, and Will Smith. They're all above a 150 WRC plus. But then also James Outman, who I wanted to shout out, who 3 home runs, 1.169 OPS, and a 196 WRC plus. It's among other guys who have been hitting well. So Jack, really, is this what the Dodgers are going to look like in 2023? Just kind of a struggling team? Maybe they win some, they lose some?
No, they're a better team than this, but I will say that I think that some of the smaller things that we've seen will linger on through the rest of the season. Now, I'm not sure I can say anything bad about the Dodgers. They just they humiliated the Giants in a 3-game series. They got shut out 1 game, and still you came away with the feeling that the Giants just got absolutely dominated. Max Muncy came in, I think, hitting in the 120s and hit 4 home runs and 2 doubles. So not much I could say about it, but I will just say for the entire season, I still think they're a team that's going to be right around where I predicted them, about 100 wins. But I think that you're going to see some of these games where everyone is cold on one night and they get shut out, or the offense just doesn't produce and the bullpen isn't good. I think that they're going to have those kind of like blow-up nights where they'll lose some games, maybe even some series to teams that they shouldn't, because this isn't the just impossible to beat Dodgers team that we have seen in past years. This isn't a team that's going to win over 110 games. I think this is a team that can win 100, but they're going to lose some head scratchers where it's like, really, the offense was this bad against the Tigers or the Royals, like just randomly out of nowhere. And I think on those nights when everyone's cold, you're going to see them lose some games, which we've seen early in the season. You mentioned they're really good in their wins and they're kind of cruddy in their losses. I think that there will be more wins than losses for the most part for the rest of the season. But in the losses, you might see them kind of collapse a bit, or everyone might be cold on one night. So I don't think this team that we're seeing right now that's just barely above 500 is the Dodgers team we're going to see in 2023. But there are some characteristics that I think will last for the entire year.
I disagree with you just a little bit in terms of you're going to see those nights where they have boom or bust kind of. And I think maybe you're going to see more than you did in years past of the Dodgers. Obviously, the lineup, just look at the names. It's not as star-studded as years past, but and every team's going to have those. But I think the boom or bust will just average out over the course of the season. Like you said, they've either all clicked or none clicked, and they haven't really had anyone kind of take over a game, with the exception of the first game of the Dodgers-Giants series where Dodgers scored 9 runs and Muncy had 7 of the home runs. So overall, it's slightly concerning for me because it hasn't been the offense really. You're going to see those nights where they get shut out. Like I said, they're only scoring, I think it was 3 runs a game in those losses. But the bullpen is a little bit concerning so far. They're guys who were amazing last year in 2022. Alex Vesia, Yency Almonte, Evan Phillips, and Brusdar Graterol. All of those guys are struggling, all above a 6 ERA in the early portion of the year. So it's maybe a little bit of an overreaction. You look at over the course of the season, you're not going to see all 4 of those guys have bad years. And then of all people, Shelby Miller, who I think is actually leading the Dodgers bullpen in innings pitched, has a 0 ERA. So you're going to find those guys who you weren't expecting to do well, pitch well, kind of, I mean, all 4 of those, maybe with the exception of Graterol last season, they weren't really anybody, and they had amazing years for the Dodgers in the bullpen. So you're going to find those guys, and then not all 4 of those guys are going to struggle. Maybe if you give them 1 or 2 who kind of have extended slower starts, but not too worried overall with the bullpen. But it's just kind of frustrating if you're not going to have that lockdown bullpen. We talked about this little with the Astros. If you get into a game that you should win, two of those games that they dropped in the opening 4-game series against the Diamondbacks, they had 7 innings of one-run or shutout baseball from their starter. It was Dustin May and Syndergaard. They lost both those games 2-1. So if you're going to have a game where your starter goes 7 shutout and your offense is just cold and they come out and then the bullpen blows it, those are going to be frustrating games to lose, and maybe we see more of those in 2023 for the Dodgers. Just like you mentioned, they don't have that much star power, or as much star power as years past. But I've got faith in the Dodgers kind of coaching staff, pitching staff to fix that over the course of a long season.
Is there any part of you that's concerned with how they've played against the division? I mean, you mentioned the Diamondbacks. They've also had series against the Rockies and the Giants. And, I know that they're still above 500, but they haven't been dominating the NL West like they have been in past years.
Absolutely. And for a number of reasons, obviously, those are the teams you're very familiar with. You're going to play them a lot. So if you're going to be struggling against those teams, kind of, if it's a sign of what's to come, and you're around 500, maybe a couple games more against each team, kind of, they, like you said, they've dominated before. So if you're gonna, that's a lot of games that you're gonna be quote unquote struggling in. So if you're gonna give that up, and then also if this is a close race, kind of with whatever team, whether it's the Padres or, I mean, Diamondbacks are playing well early to start the season as well. If trends continue, which it's only 13 games, so we're not going to overreact. But if there's teams that you're kind of contending with, those are the tiebreakers. And if you're winning games that you should win, not only in division, which is a tiebreaker, but head to head, if you're going to be dropping games that you should win against teams that you're going to play 13 times a year each, that's a good portion of your schedule. So obviously you want to take care of those games, beat your rivals. So it's a little concerning for me.
Well, I think, they don't have to be quite as concerned. I think Oracle Park really got them back in their groove, specifically Max Muncy. And they had some real standouts in that series as well. I had Mookie Betts winning the MVP. He looked like just an MVP table setter. It seems like every time he comes up, it's more likely he gets a hit than he doesn't. Same thing you could say about Freddie Freeman. I mean, I know that they don't have those same real big hitters that they've had in the past. Like Corey Seager's gone, Trey Turner's gone. I hate to remind you, but it still feels like a vaunted lineup. Like, it still feels like anywhere 1 through 9, if they're coming up, you don't feel good about it if you're an opposing team. And, maybe it tapers off a little bit more towards the end where you've got guys like Miguel Rojas, David Peralta coming up that you're not too concerned about, but you've got Vargas, you have Outman, you have Freeman, you have Betts, Muncy, Will Smith is off to a great start. I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later. It's still a lineup that you feel real concerned about when you're an opposing team pitcher. And also their pitching staff, Julio Urias, Dustin May, Clayton Kershaw, that's about as good as a 1-2-3 punch that you're going to get. And May's looked fantastic to open the year. Urias has been a Cy Young candidate for the last 2 years. So if the bullpen starts to buck back up, I really do think this is still a team that will win 100 games, and you're still going to feel as concerned going up against them as you have been in the past, at least for other years.
I'm not as confident that they'll win 100 games. I mean, I had them at, I think it was 95 to go into the year, and it's kind of still where I'm at. Maybe even if I had to budge, maybe even going a little lower. So don't know about 100 games. Injuries have been an issue as well. You got 2 guys in your bullpen, Daniel Hudson, Blake Trinan, who's still going to be out for a little longer, but Daniel Hudson, who's coming back from an ACL injury. So 2 guys that are going to help in the bullpen. And then the 5 starter's been an issue as well with injuries to Pepio and then Gonsolin. Just Michael Grove, name was evading me, is just not getting it done as the 5 starter. And the guys that I thought maybe could have came up to help, Bobby Miller's hurt right now. Gavin Stone's struggling through his first couple starts in AAA. I think he had a start where he went like 4 innings, 5 runs, and it lowered his ERA on the season. It tells you how his start to the year has been in AAA. So 5 starter's been an issue. Back into the bullpen's been an issue. So, and like I said, when you're losing games to division, it's going to hurt your record kind of in the long run. So it's not a concern for me playoffs-wise, but maybe record-wise if you want to go my prediction route. Because of injuries, because of losing games that they kind of look like they should be winning, it's going to trend towards lowering my expectations a little bit. But maybe that's just the kind of fan in me. Like I was trying to think of the dude from Barstool, the Mets fan, who is negative about everything. I forget his name, but
yeah,
Frank. Yeah,
so it's maybe cynical. It's the cynical fan in you.
Yeah, maybe that's just that side of me of saying we suck. We need to win these games, like him. But I still think they're going to be in the playoffs among that top of the division.
If you want a 5-starter, I'll give you Ross Stripling for free. I mean, he already given up 50% of the home runs that he did all of last year, and they're not even using him as a starter. I don't quite get it. A lot of the signings the Giants have made have not paid off so far. But you can have him. Maybe I'll trade straight up Stripling for Max Muncy.
Pass. No, I was thinking that yesterday. I was like, what if Max Muncy's ever a Giant? Like, would he just be like an MVP playing in Oracle for 81 games?
No, that's when he would probably just like suck. Like all of a sudden now he just wouldn't be able to hit the ball for crap in Oracle. But no, if you did trade him, I would just set him in AAA. I don't want to see him in the Giants.
Okay.
Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a like, leave a subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. You can follow us on all of our social media pages, as well as check out these videos around me for other content from our show.